announcement has been paid for by the new Howell order.
Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we cover it all here. Commanders Nightly News. I'm your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. Yesterday sucked. Plain and simple. No other way to phrase it. I can't sugarcoat the way that I feel. Yesterday was awful. And I usually go through this once a year with this team because every year there's a point in the season where I realize we suck and our season isn't going to be worth a damn. I think that day for me was yesterday. And I've been in this funk for about a good day or so. My wife keeps asking me, am I okay? I don't think she's really ever seen me like this, however, because this year was supposed to be different, in my mind at least. I'd already somewhat given up on Ron and Jack, but somehow I convinced myself that EB was the savior, right? EB was going to come over here and he was going to give us the thing that we've been missing. He was what the game was missing. That's what I told myself. Couple him with Sam, who I know is the starting quarterback of this team and is capable of leading this offense where it wants to go. I felt really confident that this defense, with a better offense, equipped with an offense that could score 30 or more points in any given week, would be ready to win a bunch of games. And I couldn't be more wrong about Eric Bieniemy. I couldn't be more wrong about this offense. And at this point, I've had that resignation that I had been running from the first 6 weeks prior to yesterday's performance. I've been running from it because there were still those flashes. There was still week 2 at Denver. There was still week 4 at Philadelphia. There were still those little glimmers of hope. The first half against Atlanta last week, there were still these little glimmers of hope as to what this offense could be. And you continue to tell yourself, hey, it's a new offense for everybody. This is EB's first time really being the play caller, the guy. You know, he's adjusting to all of these different moving parts, a new offensive line, all of these new players. He's still trying to acquiesce to what's going on here. And then you make excuses for the players. Well, they're still adjusting to EB's offensive scheme and this, that, and the third. And what it all really boils down to is our guys are just clueless. From Ron to Jack to Eric Bieniemy, they're all clueless. All Eric Bieniemy did was he came in here and added to the meh, right? He was supposed to be the guy that elevated us, gave us that championship pedigree, gave us what the Chiefs have, that edge that he claimed that we were missing. We just needed a little bit more nasty, he said. But have we seen a little bit more nasty? Because when you're throwing the football 40 plus times, 35 plus times every single week, does that exude nasty? This man is essentially putting our young quarterback in kamikaze missions every single week. How is it that a guy that was an NFL running back, has been a lifelong running backs coach, finally gets his opportunity to call plays, disregards the impact of the run game? How is that possible? You would think that a guy with his background would be leaning heavily on the run game. Ron said last year when he moved on from Scott Turner, he wanted a 2-to-1 run-to-pass ratio. We mocked him for it, which that shit is impossible, and I don't want 2-to-1 run-to-pass ratio. None of us do. Okay, most of us don't. Okay, no, most of us don't. Some of you do. But the ratio is way out of whack. I mean, they didn't even try to run the ball against the Giants. We were in a 7-point game from the 11-minute mark of the third quarter, and Sam threw the ball 42 times in a 7-point game. Make it make sense. Sam Howell threw the football 42 times in a game where you were getting your doors blitzed off, your brains blitzed out. We ran the ball, 18 times or something like that in this game? Threw it 42 times. So the excuse was in prior games, well, we were down big early and we had to resort to throwing the football. That excuse plays when you're down 27-3 at halftime to the winless Chicago Bears at home on a Thursday night. That excuse plays then. That excuse plays when after the first quarter and a half of ball, you're down 21-3 to the Denver Broncos. That excuse plays in that situation. Where it doesn't make a ton of sense is when you're in this ball game or you're in a 16-0 game against Buffalo and your running back is averaging 7 yards per carry and it's 16-0. It's a 2-score game, yet you continue to put the football in the hands of your young quarterback and say, find a way to win us the game. With no help from the run game. Do it yourself. Behind a faulty patchwork offensive line. Figure it out. Then you have the audacity to turn around and tell us it's all in the development of this young quarterback. We're getting him ready for this NFL life by getting him into these situations that seem impossible for even the most stout and devout veteran to get out of. We're asking this young guy to figure it out on the fly. What kind of offensive coordinator thinks it's a good idea to take a quarterback who has 7 going into this game, career starts in the NFL, and just put the entire game on his shoulders week after week after week? What NFL offensive coordinator thinks it's a smart idea to take that offensive line, put your quarterback behind it when he's getting the doors blitzed off of him and say, hey, figure it out. Let's throw it 42 times. And we're not running any screens or any quick game or anything to get the football out of your hands quickly. Figure it out. As Terry McLaurin said after the game, we got to the one-on-one matchups outside way too late. We waited too late to make adjustments. Doesn't that sound like the story of this organization? Not just EB, not just Jack, not just Ron, just this organization as a whole. We've been waiting for change for far too long. It's coming. Thank goodness it's coming. Because as a fan like myself and those of you out there who have been fans of this team for a very long time, we're at wit's end with, if I hear the phrase, we got to just start fast. I mean, how many times are you going to say that and not do it? At this point, the words are falling on deaf ears. And it can't just be us as fans. I know I don't want to hear truth of the matter anymore. Truth of the matter is, you guys aren't good at your job. At the end of the day, I don't want to hear at the end of the day when we just lost again and you had the quarterback throw it 42 times and we only ran it 18 times. And oh, by the way, you're not even trying to establish any kind of dominance up front along the line of scrimmage. You're not trying to adjust to what the other team is doing. You're just running your scheme. Eric Bieniemy has been the single biggest disappointment for me this season. And the thing that's so frustrating is this was his opportunity to prove once and for all that those teams that interviewed him and passed him over for guys that were probably less qualified, those teams were wrong. But what he's effectively doing right now is he's proving that those teams, whether they were justified or not, which I don't think they were right. You're not equipped to be an NFL head coach because you can't even handle the job of being an offensive coordinator. He's destroying any chance that he has of being a head coach, let alone getting another opportunity as an offensive coordinator. He's not getting another coordinator job after this if this continues. Sam Howell is on pace to not only set but shatter the NFL sack record. That's not just on the offensive line. It's not just on Sam Howell or the receivers or the tight ends or the running backs. That's on the offensive coordinator. Had he did what he did in the second half of this game, in the first quarter, if that was the game plan coming in, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now because we would have beaten the Giants Easily. Instead of having one of the worst first half performances in recent memory. Why does everything take so long to adjust and adapt to? It just doesn't make sense. And the bad part is us as fans sit at home and we talk about these things. We see it and we just assume these guys are getting paid to do this. They're getting paid to do this. So there's no way they don't see it. They know that they're going to get the doors blitzed off of them this week. They already know Wink Martindale's coming with it. So I know we're going to get sprint outs. We're going to get screens. We're going to get quick game. And if they get too damn greedy and they get too over aggressive, we're going up top. Because they can't cover Terry, they can't cover Jahan, and they can't cover Bieniemy and Curtis. Somebody's going up top, and we know Sam's going to drop it in the bucket. He did it yesterday a bunch of times in one-on-one down the sideline, just like he did against the Bills. When he gets one-on-one and you give him an opportunity to drop it in the bucket, he does usually do that. We didn't do it, and we didn't even give him a chance until the third quarter. I'm like, where's the psychological? Terry's like, I don't know what took us so long to get to it. We knew what they were going to do. And Sam is modest, and what are you supposed to be at this point? I mean, you can't throw anybody under the bus. If you claim to be a leader of this team, you're the quarterback, guys look to you for leadership, you can't throw anybody under the bus. So of course he's supposed to say, yeah, we were prepared for the Giants. You weren't prepared for the Giants. It's okay, Sam. It's okay. You don't have to lie to us. You weren't prepared. You put in an entire game plan that left you, they put in a game plan that left you vulnerable and omitted the run game. Voids of screens and quick game to give you answers to the pressure. He left you out to dry. They came with the same game plan that they had the previous 6 weeks. They didn't change a damn thing to adjust for the pressure that they knew was coming. So you can't sit here and say, well, we had a plan of attack, we had a game plan, and we had to get away from that. The fact that you had to get away from the game plan means the game plan was flawed to begin with. It never took into account what the Giants were going to do. He sat there on Thursday, looked us in our face and told us, hey, I've known Wink Martindale for a very long time, just like he knows every damn coordinator for a very long time, but doesn't seem to know how to find a way to scheme up a way to beat the guy that he's supposed to have known for a very long time. The only guy that he seemed to know how to scheme up was Vance Joseph in Denver. Everybody else, I've known this guy for a very long time. It dates back to 1999. Well, he's been kicking your ass since 1999, and he's still kicking your ass in 2023. Wink Martindale was laughing on the sidelines during the game. Like, these guys act like they didn't know what I was about to do. This shit is too easy. He's dialing up all kinds of cockamamie blitzes, leaving young rookies out here trying to cover Terry like Terry's some kind of chump. We were supposed to have been cooking their ass. I guarantee you do that to a Devontae Adams or somebody, I guarantee you coming away with 180, 230 yards receiving and a couple, if not 3 touchdowns. Yet we can't get Terry to rock. Terry had 1 target at halftime. No catches. This is a weekly thing we're talking about. Not getting our best playmakers involved. And then somehow, some way, and I don't know when this happened, maybe it was always happening right in front of our face and we just ignored it, or I did. We have no run game. I got excited in the preseason when I saw us get under center and use a fullback. I was like, oh yeah, this is going to cause some problems. Well, we didn't keep the fullback on the roster. We don't get under center, and EB is allergic to under center runs. Everything's out of the gun. We have no identity. We establish no line of scrimmage. We're not a physical football team because we don't even try to exert our will. We constantly are having our offensive linemen try to catch guys by being pass blockers, and they are not very good at doing that consistently. Eric Bieniemy has been a major disappointment. Beyond my wildest dreams, I never considered that this guy may actually just be mid. as a play caller. Like, he may actually be Scott Turner 2.0. Never did that enter my mind that we could be literally going through the same thing like Groundhog's Day. I never thought he would come here and add to the meh that we already had in Ron and Jack. I thought he was going to uplift these dudes, make them valuable again, somewhat. All he did was come in here and add to the meh that we already have. Let's get to the keys to victory from yesterday's game real quick. Clearly, we didn't abide by any of them for the most part, and that's why you score 7 points and lose to one of the worst teams in football. Washington's offense, start fast, mash the gas, was the first key to the game. Did that happen? Does that ever happen? No, of course not. No credit there. Beat man coverage was the next offensive key to the game. You knew you were going to get it. We knew we were going to get blitzes and man coverage behind those blitzes, and unfortunately, we didn't start taking advantage of the opportunities that the Giants were presenting us. You know what cooled off the pressure in the second half? Cooking their ass in the secondary, getting the ball to Terry on deep balls, almost giving up. You know what slowed down the pressure in the second half? Taking shots. Oh, you want a blitz? Here, take this deep ball. Here's another one. You're going to stop eventually, or one of these is going to go for 6. That cooled their ass off quick. I give us half credit because eventually we got to it in the third quarter into the fourth, but it was too little too late. That should have been a part of the game plan from the jump. If we see man-to-man coverage, one-on-one on the outsides with a single high safety, we going after them, we attacking them aggressively. Sam, you stare on one side of the field, knowing you got Terry or you got Jahan one-on-one backside, and you come backside, you manipulate that safety, you get that guy one-on-one, back foot hits the ground, let it rip. Protect Sam Howell in the rock. Obviously, we don't get shit for that. Sacked 5 times in the first half. The Giants had all the 5 sacks through the first 6 games. They got 5 sacks in the first half, 6 in the game. Pressured Sam all day long. And of course, we did have 1 turnover on Sam. And I firmly believe that pick, he didn't get to step into that ball because it just kind of floated. It just kind of sailed. And we know Sam drives the football. Okay, that ball just hung up there forever. And when you look at the pocket on that particular play, it's crumbling around him, and he does not get to follow through on that pass. And that's why I think it hung. At one point, I even questioned, did that get tipped? It just felt like the ball was in the air forever. But whatever the case, he definitely threw a pick, and you can't have it. That led to the Giants' second and final touchdown of the game. So you can't have those turnovers and expect to win against a bad team like the Giants. Of course, we get nothing for that one either. Convert on third downs and in the red zone. At one point in this game, we were 0 of 10. We did not convert our first third down in the game until the very end of the third quarter, okay? We were 1 of 15 on third downs. Most of that was because of what we did on first and second down, whether it was a sack or a penalty. We made sure that we were in some type of ridiculous third and long situation, usually behind the chains. 3rd and 12, 3rd and 14, 3rd and 23, 3rd and 17, 3rd and 9. Constantly in those situations, which is a death sentence for this offense as it's constructed right now. And so, and in the red zone, you're 1 of 3. That's how you lose the football game. We had been really good in the red zone this season. It had been our saving grace, if you want to be honest. The only reason we've been in all of these games for the most part this season is because of the work we've done in the red zone. That didn't happen in this game, and that's why we lost. All we had to do was catch up to the Giants. We would have beaten them. Okay? They heard footsteps when we scored that touchdown to start the second half when they muffed the punt. They heard footsteps. All we had to do was score a touchdown, which is why Ron going for a field goal on 4th and 2 makes me vomit in my mouth. Because the lack of aggressiveness, you know, when you're playing a team like the Giants, you should be foot to gas pedal. Like, hey, let's apply game pressure to them. Let's make them defend on 4th and 2. I don't think they could have stopped us. But Ron never gave us a chance. That's the second time this season that Sam has put us in a position 4th and short with a really good play on the play prior, and then Ron decides to kick a field goal, and it backfires on us. He did it against Chicago. He did it again here. It's Ron's, lack of aggressiveness that at this point that is just mind-boggling. For a guy that's supposed to be riverboat Ron, we know that ship sailed a long time ago. All right. He's no longer a guy with any cojones. All right. Everything he does is from a passive-aggressive standpoint, looking to just kind of be. Sort of like how he stands on the sidelines while we're getting a delay of game with his arms folded on a 2nd and 5. So, yeah, the red zone offense was just abysmal. 1 of 3 gets you 7 points, and you lose the football game when you do those types of things. Washington's defense. Destroy a depleted Giants offensive line. Could you tell that they were depleted? Could you tell that Giants offensive line was 5 guys that weren't supposed to be starting at any point this season? Could you tell? I couldn't. I mean, we got pressure on Tyrod Taylor, but it wasn't the type of pressure that it could have been had we been more aggressive and picked our spots. I gave us half on that. I think we still came up with 4 sacks in the game. And would have been a 5th if not for a penalty that negated a sack by Montez Sweat and Chase Young together. We should have done more against that Giants offensive line. We should have done more. Should have done more. Limit Saquon Barkley. No credit for that. Saquon Barkley consistently got 3 and 4 yards on carries. He didn't average 4 yards. Slightly under that. I think it was 3.8 yards per tote, which is, again, not a great number, but it's not a terrible number considering that this offensive line was patchwork and makeshift, and you knew he was the focal point. And there wasn't a 27 or 49-yard Saquon Barkley run to bolster that average. It was consistently 4, 3, 2, 2, 4, which kept them in manageable third down situations, which was supposed to be why we were keying in on him to force Tyrod Taylor to beat us. And he had the 32-yard catch and run for the touchdown. Like, how in the hell does he break 1 tackle and there isn't another commander in sight? Why are we even in man coverage? Why are we even in man coverage? Don't let Tyrod's legs be a factor. Have credit for that. I think that play where he found Saquon was him using his legs. There was another play on the 3rd down where he was able to extend the play with his legs and find a receiver to I think it was I want to say it was Wan'Dale Robinson. It was another play where he sprinted out and Wan'Dale Robinson was open and he just didn't make a good throw, and that's how we got off the field on the 3rd down. Should have been a 1st down. But all in all, he tried to scramble. He got away a couple of times and picked up a little something, but it wasn't anything much. But he did enough with his legs to impact the game, and so have credit for that. And then finally, keep the Giants out of the end zone. Nobody else was allowing the Giants to score, so we needed to follow suit and just keep these bastards out of the end zone. They stink on offense. They hadn't scored an offensive touchdown at home this season, which is just asinine when you think about that. When you even say that out loud, how is it that you allow them to score? Nobody else that has played the Giants this year has allowed them to score a touchdown offensively. You gave up 2 in the first half. Now, there was the only 2 that they got, but still, I mean, it had to be us, right? We're the streak breakers, so that's what we do. Of course, we get no points for that. It's terrible. So when it's all said and done, you total it all up. Yeah, out of a total of 8 points possible, we got 1.5. You're not beating anybody, including the lowly New York Giants with that. You're not beating anybody with that. You score 7 points and you give up 14, you get what you deserve. You give up 14 points in this league, you're supposed to win that game 10 times out of 10. Not 9, 10 times out of 10. You give up less than 17 points in this league, you are supposed to win the game. That was a disaster. You know what else was a disaster? Listening to Ron as we go in other news. Yesterday after the game and listening to him again today, day after the game. Yesterday sounded exactly like I thought it would sound. He sounded like a guy that is coming to the realization that I'm in the process of losing my job. I was supposed to be finding a way to show these guys that I was the man for the job, that I am supposed to be here, that I've built this thing into a credible organization, and now you got to let me see this thing through. And I think yesterday, I think he realized that during the loss to the Bears, but I think yesterday was when it really hit him like a ton of bricks. Because I got to credit Sam Fortier for not backing down. He was aggressive with Ron about the lack of adjustments being made and how long that they took. And Ron didn't have any answer. His answer yesterday was some shit. It was the answer that you get from somebody that doesn't have an answer, right? When you just repeat yourself over and over again, when the answer that you're repeating doesn't even answer the question that I'm asking you, it tells you all that anybody needs to know about where your head is. You're lost, okay? Which is not surprising to us as fans. You look lost on the sidelines. This team looks lost when games start. This team looks lost when we get into situations that are sticky, and we look like we didn't expect pressure. Even though the players talked about it all week, even though we know the MO of the team's defensive coordinator that we're playing against, we looked like we didn't know it was coming. So, shout out to Sam Fortier for applying pressure. And Ron did what I thought and it's going to continue to look like this. You know, as the losses pile up and he starts to feel that he's been in this situation before. So this isn't foreign to him. But it still doesn't make it any less uncomfortable. Today, much of the same. You know, his first of all, I didn't like his non-committal energy towards Sam, even though anytime somebody brings up the lack of consistency or the fact that we're in year 4 and you're struggling, he wants to go to Sam as his scapegoat. Oh, you know, it's all about developing a young quarterback. First of all, let me stop you right there. Pause. Time out. I just need a 30-second. I just need a 30-second. I don't need a full timeout here. You're not in year 2, Ron. You're in year 4. Time is not on your side. You keep telling me it's all about developing a young quarterback for who? Not for you. You're not going to be here to see this thing through. You keep talking about develop. If you really were that interested in developing it, you should have did it last year. When Carson Wentz got hurt against the Bears last season in week 6, that was your opportunity to say, hey, let's see what the young kid has. Let's get him some experience so that next year, when my job's on the line, he'll already have the experience necessary to lead us where we want to go. You don't get the liberty to use Sam as the excuse for why shit isn't going the way you want it to, but then out of the other side of your mouth, so on one side of your mouth, hey, it's all about developing a young quarterback, right? Which sounds like the reason why you get to score 7 points. Never mind the fact that you, Jack, nor EB had this team prepared for what the Giants were going to do, offensively and defensively. What the hell did you think Tyrod Taylor was going to do? What did you think? You didn't think he was going to throw it deep? He did it last week against Buffalo. So you didn't think he was going to do that? You didn't think to try to heat his ass up? You just thought just rush forward, we'll be fine? You didn't think if you gave him an opportunity, he wasn't going to take a shot? What did you think was going to happen? Back foot hits the ground, he's chucking it deep because you gave him one-on-one on the outside. Then the one at the end of the game, luckily Deron forced a fumble. That's a double move. You know how much time you need for that shit to take place? And you just sitting back letting it happen? But we developing a young quarterback. So we're not going to run the ball because we're developing a young quarterback. So we're not going to run the ball. Because you can't develop a young quarterback and run the ball at the same time. You can't do both. You only can do one or the other, right? Can't do those things simultaneously. So if you're developing a young quarterback, to hell with the run game, Let's just make sure we throw it 35 plus times a game so this guy can get some experience. This is how we're going to get better, by developing a young quarterback but not running the football. So we're developing a young quarterback. It's all about developing the young quarterback. So on the other side of your mouth, you tell me he's ahead of schedule. He's doing things that we weren't sure he was going to do. We feel really good about what he's providing us with. So then if that's the case, why would you then answer a question from Ben Standing that essentially says, hey, is he your dude for the rest of the season? If you feel this good about Sam and it's about developing Sam, then is there even a question? Shouldn't you be able to commit right now and say, yeah, no, he's the guy. He's not the reason that we're 3-4. That was your opportunity to say that. If everything's about developing Sam, I don't know what's going to happen into the future. I can't say. All I can tell you is, we're worried about Philadelphia next week. Oh, really, Ron? Okay, Ronald. You're Ronald now again, too, by the way. Okay, Ronald. Sure, you're right. So he's all over the damn place. You don't have time. Don't keep talking to me about developing a young quarterback. We know Jacoby Brissett ain't it. And for any fan out there that wants to see Jacoby Brissett, go sit in a corner somewhere until we tell you it's okay for you to come out. Okay? You go sit in timeout. Because that's like asking for Taylor Heineke. Like, why? We know what Taylor Heineke is. We know what Jacoby Brissett. They're backup quarterbacks in this league. That's like asking for Andy Dalton. Why? If you're in Carolina and yes, Bryce Young is struggling, that's like asking for Andy Dalton. For what? For what? If I'm a Titans fan, I'm pissed off at the fact that you keep putting Ryan Tannehill on the field. For what? He's not the answer. We know what Ryan Tannehill is. Let's see what Malik Willis and or Will Levis can do. If I'm Carolina, there's no reason to play Andy Dalton. I got to see what Bryce Young is. And if you're Washington, I know what Jacoby Brissett is. He's been on 72 teams. He's got a losing record as a starter. He's not the guy. We know that. He had a chance last year to prove people wrong in Cleveland, and he wet the bed. We know what Jacoby Brissett is. So for those of you asking for Jacoby Brissett, go sit in the corner. You're in timeout. Face the corner. Don't say nothing to me. Just turn around and face the corner. Because even if Sam ain't it, we got to find out. You know how you don't find out? By sitting him down. And again, none of this that we're in right now can be traced back to Sam directly. Indirectly, sure. Him holding on to the ball, taking some sacks, absolutely, he's culpable. He missed some throws yesterday. Absolutely, he missed the throw against the Bears. Wide open Bieniemy Brown. He's not innocent in all of this. He's also a baby. He's a puppy. Those mistakes were supposed to be built in to the evaluation. What we weren't supposed to be dealing with was incompetence from our offensive coordinator, malpractice from our head coach, and malpractice from our defensive coordinator. That's the shit that we weren't supposed to be dealing with. We knew the young fella was going to have some hiccups. We knew this shit wasn't going to be all roses and buckets full of candy and just us just being in eternal bliss. We knew there were going to be these kinds of games where you go, man, Sam didn't look all that hot today. We knew that. But we also expected some semblance of a run game, some continuity from our offensive coordinator, some semblance of a screen game to take some pressure off of this offensive line and your young quarterback, some quick game. We expected some of these things to be able to alleviate some of the stress that's put on a young quarterback in his second year, making his seventh start in his second different offense. We've gotten none of that. We haven't gotten enough help from the defense. We haven't gotten any help from the head coach. And the offensive coordinator has left a young quarterback out to dry. You know what Ron said today? I'm pleased with what we're calling on offense. This is why you're going to be fired. The game's over, Ron. Thanks for playing. Game's over. Put your controller down. You can go ahead. I'm going old school. Plug it out. Wrap the cord up. It's over, man. Get off the sticks. I bring it back to present day. Just put the sticks down. They're wireless controllers now. Okay? Nobody plays with wired controllers anymore. I still got my Nintendo GameCube, though. I still got my Nintendo GameCube. But that's besides the point. Game's over, Ron. Jack, EB, you can put the sticks down. Thanks for playing. Let's take a look at the snap counts from yesterday and see what everybody's up to. So, as you can see, 69 snaps for everybody on the offensive line. And that can't be right. They got Sadiq Charles and Sam Howell's snap counts mixed up. So, Andrew Wiley, Charles Leno Jr., Sam Cosmi, Nick Gates, and Sam Howell all played all 69 of the snaps. Sadiq Charles left with a calf strain, which I told y'all that looked like the same calf strain he had in the preseason that kept him out of practice, and we thought, here we go again with Sadiq. So he missed the final 18 plays of the game. So he'll be evaluated. He had an MRI, Ron said today. Him and Cody Barton had MRIs. But Ron's initial diagnosis for both of them, Sadiq Charles, calf strain, and a high ankle sprain for Cody Barton. I thought it was an Achilles, to be honest with you. When it initially happened, it looked like it was non-contact. But if it's an ankle sprain, that's actually the best news it could be for Cody Barton. Now, it's high, so that's going to take a while to come back. But, again, y'all didn't want him in the game anyway, so you got what you asked for. Terry McLaurin, 61 of 69 snaps, 88%. Jahan Dotson, 58 of the 68 snaps for 84%. So they got Sadiq Charles is only playing in 47 snaps. So they got him up here twice. So even the people that are doing the snaps can't get the shit right. I mean, that's the organization in a nutshell. Even the simplest of tasks isn't completed correctly. All right, so Sadiq probably played 47. Sam Howell clearly didn't play 18 less snaps in this game. So whatever. Logan Thomas, 47 snaps, 68%. John Bates, 41 snaps, 59%. Curtis Samuel, 38 snaps, 35%. Brian Robinson Jr., 34 snaps for 49% of the offensive snaps. Antonio Gibson, 26 snaps, 38%. Ricky Stromberg had to come in, so that sounds about right. So Sadiq definitely played 47 because if you 47 plus 22 is 69. So I don't know where the 51 comes in at in the game. I don't know who that belongs to, but anyway, Stromberg got in there, 22 snaps, 32%. I'm actually anxious to see what he did. Ron was asked about, are there any adjustments that you can maybe make up front? And he, for the first time, didn't just say, no, we're fine. We like what we have. It's the new offense for everybody. He didn't do that shit. He said, yeah, there's some things that we're considering. I don't think they're going to do anything. Generally, Ron has to be handcuffed, with his hands behind his back. They got to put a hood over his head so he can't see anything. And they got to start waterboarding him for him to make changes. So, which is what Panthers fans said. He's going to be loyal to a fault. So, he's not at the point where he's being waterboarded right now. They're just telling him, hey, put your hands behind your back. They haven't put the cuffs on him yet. So I don't see him making any changes yet. But I'd actually be anxious to see what Ricky Stromberg did in his 22 snaps. Because if he can play, what are we waiting on? Really? I'm like, Nick Gates was ass yesterday. What are we waiting on? If Stromberg shows you he can play, he can hold up, because clearly Nick Gates can't against upper echelon defensive tackles. Like, that shit I saw yesterday was ridiculous. I was mortified. So I'd actually be anxious to see what Ricky Stromberg did. Because if he played well, what are we waiting on? You spent the 3rd round pick on him. Let's get him in there. Cole Turner, 14 snaps, 20%. Bieniemy Brown, 11 for 16%. Chris Rodriguez, 9 for 13%. Byron Pringle, 4 for 6%. And Cornelius Lucas, 2 for 3%. So as I always ask you guys, anyone stick out? Anyone need more reps? Anybody had too many reps and need less? I think some candidates would be, obviously, Cornelius Lucas needs to start. We've already said that, so we don't need to beat that horse. That thing's been long dead. We were trying to start Cornelius Lucas after week 2. Of course, they weren't going to do that, but after the Denver game, I had seen enough of Andrew Wiley at right tackle. So, I mean, I've been talking about that, and we were 2-0, and I still wanted to make changes. Rodriguez is going to be the one that stands out, I think, from a lot of you. A lot of you who came away from yesterday's game impressed. I'm a Brian Robinson Jr. guy myself. Doesn't mean that I don't want to see Chris Rodriguez get some opportunities, but I still think they're not giving Brian Robinson Jr. enough. We're not running the ball really anyway. So that I digress. Let's get to the defensive side of things. 68 defensive snaps in this game. As you can see, Percy Butler, Benjamin St-Juste, Cam Curl, and Kendall Fuller all played 100% of the snaps, as they customarily do. You know, Percy Butler, since Defoe's injury, has filled in that Defoe role and taking on the 100% of the snaps at that free safety spot. Jamin Davis has seen an uptick, obviously, with the injury to Cody Barton. He had to shift over, essentially, and play a lot more snaps. And so you see he played in 99% of the snaps with 67. Chase Young, 61 snaps, 90%, which is still a high number. But if he can go. Just go. Deron Payne, 58, 85%. Jonathan Allen, 52 snaps, 76%. Montez Sweat, 48 snaps, 71%. David Mayo and Danny Johnson each with 60% of the snaps at 41. Khaleke Hudson, a big jump. He had 10 snaps last week, so this is a season high for him, 26 snaps, 38% of the snaps on the field. James Smith-Williams, 17 snaps, 25%. Abdullah Anderson, 13 snaps, 19%. Casey Toohill, you would have thought that there would have been more opportunities for him, which, again, it boggles the mind that we can't, like, Khaleke had his first career sack yesterday. And how many years have I been saying you don't have a Khaleke Hudson blitz package where you just get him on the field and say, Khaleke, do what you do best, attack the line of scrimmage? We don't have one of those? You can't come up with one? I mean, that's the thing that bothers me, is there's no creativity with this group. I've been screaming about this since year 2 of Ron and Jack. Hey, Khaleke Hudson's best work at the University of Michigan came with him being a downhill, aggressive, attacking the line of scrimmage defender. He can run with the running back. He can run with the tight end. But when he's at his best is when he's down around the line of scrimmage, attacking, going forward. Blitz him. He had like 7 sacks his last year at Michigan. Blitz him. They blitzed him. He gets a sack. I'm speechless. I'm at a loss. I shouldn't be, but yet I still am. James Smith-Williams, I think I already said Casey Toohill should have. I mean, again, there's not a package where you can get Casey Toohill and, Khaleke Hudson, all of these athletic guys on the field at once and go after the quarterback. There's not a package you can do with that. I'm just asking for a friend. Clearly there isn't. I mean, hell, we can't even move our defensive ends anywhere but defensive end. So what am I asking for? What am I saying? Chase Young and Montez Sweat can't line up anywhere else but either outside linebacker when we go Cinco or defensive end. They can't move. They're stationary parts. If teams want to take them away, they know exactly where to find 90 and 99. So me asking for something different, what am I thinking? I got to be outside my damn mind. Cody Barton got hurt relatively early in this game, only 8 snaps. Quan Martin and Emmanuel Forbes both played 5 snaps apiece. Your first and second round picks, 5 snaps apiece, 7% of the snaps. And I had somebody after the game tell me, Quan Martin had a really good game. And I said to that person, if you remember during the live stream, I really didn't see Quan Martin out there. So I'll have to go back and take a look. I don't feel like he was out there that much this game. We felt his presence against Atlanta. We saw him on the field. I didn't see him other than the first play of the game, first third down rather, jumping up and batting the ball down. I really didn't see 20 on the field. Well, this is the evidence right here that he wasn't on the field. So my initial intuition, which was I don't think he played that much because I really didn't see him on the field, was spot on. 5 snaps for Quan Martin. So those are your snap counts. Like I asked you with the offense, anything stick out to you here? Anybody need more? Anybody need less? Leave it down in the comment section. So, I mean, really, I don't know if there's any more that I need to add to today's show. I mean, the Eagles are next. They just traded for a safety. We'll go around the NFC East tomorrow on Tuesday's show, but Howie Roseman strikes again. Oh, I do want to bring this up. Speaking of trades, Ronald said that we don't need to make any trades. We don't need to do all this because they pressed him about how Jonathan Allen felt after the game and how, the fans feel. So his response about Jonathan is he's passionate. He wants to win. The young man puts in a lot of work, and he's frustrated, and all of us are frustrated, and we all feel like that. And there's times where you guys ask me questions and I'm frustrated and I want to say what I really want to say, but I can't. And so, I get where he's coming from. And then they asked him about how the fans feel. And, he's like, yeah, I get it. But at the same time, we're working really hard. And we're not trying to hear that shit. All of us work jobs, whether you work for yourself or you work for somebody else. And it doesn't matter if you're working really hard if you're not doing a good enough job. You can work really hard at doing a crappy job. Your job is going to fire you, or eventually they're going to cut your hours, or they're going to get rid of you flat out. Just you're not getting the job done. Sorry. Your response can't be, but I'm working really hard. Nobody cares about that. Especially in the NFL, where it's a results-based business. Nobody cares about how hard you're working. Don't work harder, work smarter. You guys seem to miss that whole concept of working smarter, not harder. Okay? EB definitely doesn't get that concept. He wants to just strain some more. All right? We got to strain. We got to collectively drag our asses across the finish line. Well, we could do that a lot more efficiently if you just went about it in a different manner. That's just not how we're wired over here. That's just not how we're wired. We don't do things smart. We try to do things the hard way, the gritty way. So, clearly they're not making any moves. And I told my wife yesterday, she was asking me, what do you think we're going to do at the trade deadline? I said, nothing. And I said, you know what? Unless we're sending players away, I don't want us to be trading for anyone. Fans are interested. Hey, what do you think about this and that? I'm good. If it ain't us trading somebody and getting draft capital back, I'm good. I'm not looking to try and add anything to this team because I don't want to take away resources from the next group that comes in here. That next GM that comes in here, I want him to have as many opportunities to improve this team as quickly as he possibly can. I want that next head coach to have as much ammunition in year one as he can because you already got your quarterback. So that's one less thing you got to worry about. All you got to do is put an offensive line in front of him. And let me say something else too, because this is a conversation that I don't mind having with y'all. So many of y'all I've seen, and not all of y'all, but it's a lot of y'all. Sam holds on to the ball too long, and he's been doing this since college. And sounds like a lot of stuff you heard somebody else say, so you just regurgitated it, and that's fine because they're not wrong. And by virtue of that, you're not wrong. This has been an issue for him. He's held on to the ball. Because in college he had to be a playmaker. So when you are the guy and you got to make plays, that's the cost of doing business. He shouldn't be in that position now, though. He's not in college. He's not at Chapel Hill. He's not the savior. He doesn't have to be right now. He should be a huge part of this machine, a huge cog, but he shouldn't be the machine, right? But if Sam likes to hold it a little bit longer, you know what that means? It doesn't mean get rid of him. You know, there's a lot of quarterbacks that like to hold the ball a long time. You know how Aaron Rodgers doesn't throw interceptions? You know why he doesn't? Because he'll take a sack before he throws an interception. Like, the better quarterbacks in the league, they don't put the ball in harm's way. They just take a sack or they throw it away. You know what you do when you got a quarterback that's not stationary, who needs more time? Like Brady at the end of his career, you know what Tampa Bay did? They went out and got offensive linemen. They fortified that offensive line. Why? Because they know Brady needs more time. He's older. He can't do as much as he used to. And really, he's a guy that was always great at manipulating the pocket. His pocket mobility was probably the best I've ever seen in my life as a fan watching the game. But he still needs time back there because he ain't making anybody miss. You know what happened after the Chiefs lost the Super Bowl to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? The Chiefs went out and revamped the entire offensive line. Why? Because Patrick Mahomes likes to hold on to the football. You don't get rid of the quarterback because he has a problem with holding on to the football. You just fortify the effing offensive line instead. Sam Howell has the ability to be a damn good quarterback in this league. But you got to put guys in front of him that can protect him and give him that extra tick if he needs it. It also would help if you had a better offensive scheme that gave him more answers to some of the things that the defense is showing him. But again, or if you just ran the football. But hey, what do we know? Right? We're just Monday morning quarterbacks, all sitting in our recliners thinking we know what the hell we're talking about. What do we know? They got to know more than us, right? Right. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T here on Commanders Nightly News. Y'all know what it is. Post up. Take command. I'm getting out of my funk slowly but surely, but yesterday was lousy. It was just an overall terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day. Y'all have a good one. I'll see y'all guys and gals next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone.